Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a high-stakes, real-world lesson that could, quite literally, save a life. We're diving right into the hidden physics of deadly mountain descents. If you've spent any time driving cross-country, or honestly, if you just happen to share the highway with an 80,000-pound semi-truck, you already know the environment out there can be incredibly treacherous. But what actually causes the absolute worst disasters on these steep inclines? Well, as we'll see by analyzing some hard-earned, road-tested lessons from trucking veterans with over 20 years of experience, the real threat isn't always what you can see out the windshield. There is an invisible killer on these mountain roads, and today we are going to break down exactly how it works.
Just think about the terrifying life or death stakes embedded in this reality. The road is making the decision for you. Seriously, imagine being behind the wheel of a massive 80,000-pound machine and suddenly realizing that your inputs, your choices, your reactions, they just don't matter anymore. The mountain has completely taken over. It's the horrifying reality of a runaway truck. So in this explainer, we're going to use raw data and expert insights to figure out exactly how drivers end up in this absolute nightmare scenario. And more importantly, the strict protocols the pros use to prevent it from ever happening. Okay, let's dive into this. To truly grasp the gravity of the situation, we need to map out the real-world danger zones where these extreme physical forces are tested on a daily basis. We are talking about some of America's absolute deadliest trucking zones. For instance, Vail Pass in Colorado, a road absolutely famous for its punishing, relentless steepness. Then there's the Grapevine Grade in California, which is just a notorious stretch of highway that literally destroys truck brakes. We've also got Breezewood's Highway Trap out in Pennsylvania, and Wyoming's deadly I-80 wind corridor, where the forces of nature are so incredibly strong that trucks just get blown right off the interstate. These aren't just scenic mountain passes, folks. They are extreme physical gauntlets where heavy machinery is pushed to its absolute breaking point. And that brings us to this fascinating psychological divide in the trucking industry. It's basically rookie fear versus veteran reality. A lot of new drivers think the danger on those deadly roads starts when the environment visibly changes, right? Like when the road gets slick with ice, or heavy fog rolls in and completely ruins visibility, or when they look out the window and see those super intimidating steep drops. But the seasoned pros, they know better. Their reality is that the true danger is completely invisible. The number one mistake that gets truck drivers killed on mountain roads is actually trusting their brakes way too much. It's a thermodynamic danger, not just a weather problem. So that veteran reality stems from one fundamental, undeniable truth. A loaded semi-truck does not stop like a passenger car. Now, I know that sounds completely obvious to say out loud, but the sheer scale of the difference in physics here is absolutely staggering. When you or I are commuting in our everyday cars, we press the brake pedal, and friction easily, very easily, overcomes the weight of our small vehicle. But when a driver is hauling massive amounts of cargo down a mountain, that immense weight completely overrides the normal physical laws of stopping. You simply cannot treat the brake pedal of a loaded semi-truck the way you treat the brake pedal of a standard commuter car. Because if you do, the results are going to be catastrophic. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the exact mechanism of this invisible danger. It comes down to one thing: brake fade. This is blue-collar physics in action, and it's basically the crux of the entire issue. See, when a driver makes the mistake of riding their brakes down a steep mountain grade, immense friction is generated between the brake pads and the drums. That friction creates an incredible amount of heat. We're talking about pushing those brake drums to temperatures well over 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And this extreme heat causes a dangerous, progressive loss of stopping power. The hotter those brakes get, the weaker they get. It's not a sudden snap, it's a compounding failure. By riding the brakes, the driver is quite literally burning away their machine's ability to stop. And this brilliantly illustrates how this descent disaster unfolds. It's a very specific, totally unforgiven chronological sequence. Step 1, the heat builds as the driver mistakenly rides the brakes downhill to control their speed. Step 2, as that temperature spikes to those extreme levels we just talked about, the brakes weaken. That's the brake fade. Then step 3, well, this is where sheer panic sets in. The pedal fails. The driver can press that brake pedal all the way to the floorboard and absolutely nothing happens, which leads inevitably to step 4. The runaway truck. The massive vehicle just keeps rolling, picking up terrifying momentum, completely unbound by any mechanical stopping power whatsoever.
Let's pause and just let this sink in. If you wait until the truck is already running away, you waited too long. Mountain greeds absolutely do not forgive bad habits. Once those brakes reach the point of failure, the situation is completely out of the driver's hands. The raw physics of mass and gravity have taken over the vehicle. There is no magical emergency button to press. There's no quick fix to instantly cool down those burning brakes. The absolute truth of mountain trucking is that the time to solve the problem of a runaway truck is long before the truck ever actually starts running away.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Because veterans know they cannot rely on the brake pedal alone. They employ a completely different, proactive strategy before the decline even begins. Number 1, slow down before the hill. You manage your speed when the road is flat and it's easy, not when gravity is already fighting you, right? Number 2, choose the right gear before the descent starts. And number 3, use engine braking correctly. Instead of relying on the friction of the brake pads, professional drivers use the internal mechanical resistance of the truck's engine itself to hold all that massive weight back. It is entirely about preparation over reaction. Ultimately, this whole lesson frames a psychological battle. Professional drivers never let ego outrun physics. A rookie driver might approach a steep grade like the Grapevine and think, oh, I can handle this, I can just power through it, I'm a highly skilled driver. But the ultimate safety rule in trucking is yielding human pride to raw, unforgiving physical laws. You cannot negotiate with gravity. You cannot outsmart thermodynamics. The exact moment ego takes the wheel on a steep grade, and a driver thinks they don't need to properly prep their gear and speed, that is when disaster follows for sure. So the crucial point is this. Before a veteran driver takes a heavy machine down any serious mountain grade, they have to ask themselves one definitive question. Can I control this truck without abusing the brakes? If the honest answer to that question is no, well, they're already in trouble. It's a really sobering reminder of the extreme physics required to safely navigate our world. Next time you're driving through a mountain pass, look at the trucks around you and ask yourself, what other invisible forces are shaping the infrastructure we trust our lives to every single day?